Hello, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for our May Tips and Tricks training webinar for SendMyAd. We have a long list of things to get through today, but actually a lot of them are pretty brief, so it should be a normal time for our webinar. As always, we'd love to hear your suggestions for topics. What I've tried to do this time is pick some topics that have to do with support. There's a few recurring themes that we see in support, so I wanted to bring those to your attention, and then talk about some new features. And so the rest of the items are things that were just released. I believe we did the upgrade a week or more ago, so very recent features. Just a little housekeeping for today's session. We have in the client for GoToWebinar, you can zoom out your screen, which you might want to do. My monitor is not huge, but it's fairly large, so it may clip off if you don't do that on your display. Questions, feel free to raise those as they come up. You can do that in your in the GoToWebinar client. We'll address those where appropriate. If we can stop, we'll deal with them. If we need to save them to the end, we'll do that. Also, let us know if you have any problems with the webinar itself. Okay, without further ado, let's get into our presentation. Okay, I am logged in as a publisher. And what I wanted to talk about first is resetting our advertiser passwords. This is a request that we get very frequently in support. And it's something that you as a publisher have not always had the ability to reset a advertiser user's password. But we did add that in. It's been in there for quite some time. But we're always adding new features, and this one may have just slipped by without you noticing. So we wanted to point out how you do this, and it's really easy. When you have an advertiser that says, "Hey, I can't log in," and you want to fix it for them, what you can do is just go to your Manage menu on the left, go to Customers, and you'll see the default view here is to show the actual users. Now, this is just my little demo site, so I don't have that many advertisers. You may have hundreds listed here. So remember the quick search right up here in this area. You can just begin typing, and that will narrow down by any of the information you see here. So if I want to search by my name, for instance. Okay, so here's one of my several advertiser accounts. I can click this, and there's a big button right up here that says Change Password. Okay, this is a simplified version of what we show you if you try to change your own password. Okay, you'll notice that we don't ask for security questions or anything like that. That's really up to the individual user. But just as a kind of a quick, easy way for you to change the password, just simply type the new one and confirm it. We'll verify that they're the same, hit Save Password. Okay. Now, we do not email the customer about this, so you'll need to let them know. Now, of course, they've notified you that, hey, I want you to change my password, or I can't log in. So you're having that conversation with them anyway. But you can certainly, on the phone, tell them what it is, or send them an email if you're comfortable doing that. And that's really it. Now, just as a quick review of what we do with passwords, we do really try and make it so that the user can always do this on their own. So if we sign out and I'm an advertiser that has forgotten my password, this I cannot access my account is right here. And this should really be your first advice for an advertiser when they come to you and say, I can't log in. Okay. And what we do is we ask them to type in their email address. I mean, hopefully they remember that. And we then provide them with whatever security question they picked when they set the account up. If they don't know the answer, they can just click that, and then what we do is we email them a link to reset their password. Okay, so the security question we put in a long time ago, and we did that because of the vagaries of email. We have somebody send an email, or we send an email to someone, especially an advertiser who we maybe don't interact with as much, and our things were going into the spam box, they'd get it ignored, they wouldn't catch it in their inbox. So the security question was a way to do everything in the site right up front and not have to worry about email. If that doesn't work, then I don't know the answer. We'll try and send them an email. If they still don't get it, that's typically when they're calling you. One gotcha that we notice all the time in support is we have a set of security questions that people can choose from. It's like 5 or 6 different things that are very common things. And what happens a lot is people will ask, what's your favorite sports team? And they type Bob, as their husband's name, or something like that, or the kid's name. So of course, it's hard to help people when they don't actually, provide information that they'll remember. So that's a very, very common thing. So if you have a user that is always forgetting their password, you may just want to prod them and say, hey, what are you doing the security question, something that you'll remember. So again, our goal is to help your clients be able to do everything in the site without them coming to you, and then ultimately without them coming to us directly, or you having to come to us for silly things like password resets. Okay, I know that brings up our next topic, which is best practices for help requests. This goes for advertisers as well as yourself as a publisher user. We have a couple entry points here for how to begin a support request. So if you're in the site and let's say you have a question about something with your users list, and you just don't know what to do. If it's a general question, click this question mark up here in the top and ask a question. Okay. And you can select different things here. If you're just looking for a feature request, you have a general question, you see something that you think is a bug, you can classify it there, and that's helpful for us. Priority, the default is low if it's a general question, but certainly feel free to assign a higher priority if you feel it's really a showstopper for you. And a subject in question. Hit send request, and that will initiate an email to us, and it also opens a ticket in our internal support tracking database. And that's really helpful. If you've probably interacted with that somewhat, and you have a feel for how that works probably. But that automatically sets that up. It gives us a ticket number. It gives us an interface to both email you, receive your replies, and if I'm out the next day, one of my colleagues can pick up with your support request if it's something that takes a while, because all that history is in our database. Now, that's fine, but if a lot of times our support requests relate to a specific file. So let's say you're looking at an ad and you have a question about this particular ad. In that case, it's always best to go into the ad and then hit the ask a question up in this corner. And it brings up the same interface. For you, it looks the same. But for us, it's a big difference in support because it will contain the direct link to this file. And that's really helpful. I'll speak to that in a moment. Now, you'll notice that neither of those gave you an opportunity to attach a screenshot. Okay, it's just a very simple email interface. If you have a screenshot that you'd like to send, we welcome those, absolutely. And the email address for our ticket system is what you want to use in that case. So what happens a lot of times is folks will open up a ticket using one of those things I just showed you. They'll get back an automated reply from our ticket system, and then they've got their ticket number, and they can reply to that and attach a screenshot. You can also open a ticket directly from the ticket system, attach screenshots, or you can email sma-ticket@sendmyadsupport.com, and that will give you the opportunity to start a ticket as well as attach as many attachments as you'd like. Okay, now just a couple pointers as far as how best to interact with us in support. As I said before, going into the ad and clicking, ask a question is the best for us because it does directly give us that link to the ad itself. If you don't do that, or if there's some other way that you can identify the ad, let's say you're emailing us or you're opening a ticket through the web interface for our ticket system, the best possible advice I can give you is to be very specific about what ad you're looking at. So if it's a problem that you're seeing in all your ads or a certain class of ads, give us an example. So give us a link. A process ID is really good. I'll show you what that is. That's our own kind of unique ID. The materials ID that you have is really helpful. The external ID is something that you may have if you are using an API to interact with us. So we have some customers that tie into our system using their own database or their own tracking systems. So you have something which you might call unique ID or product or ad ID or something like that, but we call it an external ID, and that would show up over here in your information in the ad panel. But materials ID, almost everybody's using the materials ID in some respect or another. That's really helpful for us to know. And then if you scroll down into the file properties area, we kind of bury this because it's our own internal ID number. But every ad, every file has a process ID. For us, that's the unique identifier. So either of those is great, and that helps us find your ad and help you as soon as we can. What we try and do is we're trying to avoid us either hunting for your ad or for an example, because that wastes time. And we're trying to also avoid the initial back and forth emails as much as possible. So, we don't like to, but very often, we have to email you back and say, hey, can you give us an example? What ad are you looking at? If you give us some clues in your initial support request, we do take some time generally and try and find the ad because we know it's annoying to get that, thing. But we also don't want to waste, your time and ours just on a hunt to find an ad. So anyway, best practice: be as specific as possible about the problem. Give us an example or help us identify the particular ad that you need assistance with, and that will really help. The last kind of thing I'd mention for best practice for help requests is when you do open a ticket through our system, whether directly through one of the methods we've talked about here, you should be getting back an automated email from the ticket system saying, we've received your request, here's your ticket ID. And sometimes though, especially depending on how many issues we're dealing with at one time, we may also, myself or one of the other techs may send you back an email saying, hey, we're looking at this, and I know it's kind of a duplication of that automatic message that you get, but we sometimes just want to let you know that, hey, we got it. We've got your issue. we are looking at it right now, or we're going to get to it soon, but just to give you that sort of human interaction that, hey, we really did get it. We know it's important to you, and we're either looking at it or we're going to get to it very, very soon. So that's why sometimes you will get that, from myself or one of the other developers or techs. So anyway, if you can kind of follow those very simple rules, it will help you get support faster, and it'll help us support you better through the request cycle there. So, all right, well, let's move on to some new features. And like I said, we just had an upgrade of about a week and a half ago, something like that. And so there were a lot of new features in it. So just to pick off a couple of the more interesting ones, we were looking at the customers list a little while ago. And one of the new features is to show you by advertiser company a list of the brand and product information from their ads that they're uploading to you. So to see that, what you can do is go to your customers area, and this is listed by company, not by the actual individual users. So go to companies, select one of your companies, so I'll pick this one, and every time they're uploading an ad, we are just kind of noting, what is that information that they're sending with their ads. And so here you'll see a table that lists that stuff. So if you need to know or you're curious to see, what are the brands that they're advertising, what products, this is a quick way for you to see that. Okay. So it's a small feature, but it was a direct customer request, and it's something that we may see more coming with this down the road. Okay, we're going to show you the next item is one that came up actually through a support request, and as we step through and we're trying to kind of track down what was happening, we found that the feature that the customer was looking for didn't actually work the way they thought it did, and it wasn't working exactly the way that we thought it was going to either. And so what we did was we kind of stepped back and we re-architected this, and that's the ability to set a field that's required for the publisher to fill out before they approve an ad. Okay. So let's take a just quick reminder here of the types of things we're talking about. In your print ad settings, it's typically a custom metadata item. So here you've got different customer visible or maybe publisher only visible fields. Okay. So here's one, and it's kind of a trite example, but weather. Okay, so it's just an example to have a select menu, and a data set of controlled options that have to be filled out. Okay, now the important thing is how to make that field a required option before you as a publisher user approve your ad. Where you do that is in your approval cycle. You want to go to Configure Approval Cycles. And I have one here. It's a global, publisher-wide approval setup called Global 1. And here, where you typically are picking, who are the users that can do this approval step. But there are also, a lot of people overlook this area down here. You can select actions that have to be done before the file can be approved. And the new one down here is fill form item. Now we had something that was a little similar to this, but it was locked down to particular fields. So materials ID and booking number. Okay, and those are useful, especially materials ID if you elect not to use our automated material ID generation. Let's say that comes from a system on your end. This ensures that somebody's filling that out at the publisher, someone on your staff before they finalize the ad. Okay, but this is simply a more generic way to approach this. And so what we have here is we have a list of all the kind of common metadata fields, as well as your custom ones. So there's that weather one that I pointed out before. Okay. All right. Well, let's just see that in action. Let's go to one. Okay, so I've got my publisher approval here. Let's try to approve this. And here it stops me, it gives me an alert, and it says that the weather field cannot be empty. And sure enough, over in my custom information area, I've not filled anything out there. So I'm just going to simply select, and now when I hit approve, there it goes. Okay. So you know, this is a way to really require that information that's important to you as a publisher before this ad is finalized. So that way you're sure that you've got the data that maybe you need downstream for delivery, or you need to integrate with some other system, however that's used on your side. So easy enough to set up. Okay, and like I said, those it can be custom metadata fields or any one of those you know, common ad metadata fields that you see in the upload form or you see in the ad panel on the left. Okay. All right, we have added a feature that actually originated in Virtual Publisher, our other product, and that is this advanced file viewer. So the difference is apparent as soon as you log in and you see an ad now. We have this toolbar, which you can just drag around the screen if you want, but it appears over here by default. It gives you a quick way to zoom in and out, okay, and it will kind of center things where you click, so you can really focus on an area pretty easily. If you want to zoom out, just click the Fit Preview to Screen right there. Okay. Click and hold the zoom to get the zoom in and out. Just toggle between those. And we also have hotkeys. So zoom, if you do the plus key, you can do that. And minus to zoom out on your keyboard. Fit to screen, if you hover over it, you should get a toolbar, a toolkit. I don't know if you see it, but I believe it's F will turn that fit option back on. The last item is notes. So if you are using the notes feature, that can toggle those on and off as well. Okay. So it's we still have, in conjunction with this, we still have the views item in the little toolbar on the bottom. So you can do fit to screen here, but also toggle which boxes you're seeing, the add boxes, inspect boxes, or if you want to see the trimmed view. Okay. Anyway, we hope that you like the new viewer there. It's something, like I said, we've kind of adapted that from Virtual Publisher, and that's been well received in that product. Okay, the last item to show you is a change in how we display split ads. So just a very brief mention of what that is if you're not using it. When we have a spread size ad, let's go to the ad size and actually just show you this. So we have a spread page, And in the Configure Spreads button here, we have various modes of how this can be split. Do not split means that if you want the ad to split, then you need to do that as a manual option. And then a new option is to split the spread after the advertiser approves it. So it used to be that we would show the split pages separately in your print ad list, and we would show the spread itself, the original spread before splitting, as a separate file. And depending on how things were done, sometimes that spread page would be hidden. Okay? But now what we do is we group them together. They really do make up a logical set. And we felt that it would make more sense for everyone to be able to continue to see those together. So you have what we call the parent spread, the original size file that was uploaded, and then the resulting left and right spreads after the split. Okay, so this lets you view everything together, and we feel it's a little more obvious for the user that those things belong together. And especially when you do things like perhaps unsplitting, it makes more sense from that perspective. So that also, you also get the new viewer in that view as well. So anyway, that covers all of our features for today. We hope that you enjoyed this quick look at the new features, and we hope you benefit from the little discussion about support requests and both how you can help your customers better and then how you can help yourselves get the best support experience. As I mentioned at the beginning, we do these every month, and we're always adding new features. So when I set the agenda for these, we typically try and go through the newest features that have been added. If we detect any common themes in tech support, we'll add those. But if there's features that you'd like to see, maybe things that you're not quite clear on, old features that you'd like to have reviewed, we've done in-depth tutorials some months on things like how to add a new publication and what that all entails. Please feel free to email us at support or talk to your sales rep, and we'd be delighted to address whatever topics you'd like. Thanks very much for your time today, and we hope to see you next month.